Hello, everyone. Mary Ann LeRae here at the filling station. We're so excited to be here with you all again for episode 8. So we've had some fabulous guests here in the podcast room, and so excited to have American Heart Association and the Helmut and Carmen Weismer Foundation that have made an investment to make this podcast studio available to the filling station. And we kicked this podcast off several weeks ago because we want so many of our partners to be highlighted and showcased. You see all the good work that's being done in the newsletters and the annual report. But when you hear from those that are behind the scenes that are making it happen, that's when it really is special. So we have Tharesa Lee in the studio today. Yes. Dear friend of mine, and this friendship started over 20 years ago. I moved back and to Jones County, and I believe I met you at a chamber function.
Yes.
But when I met you, I felt like we'd known each other forever. Just kindred spirits. And
that's true.
We've been talking about leadership and John Maxwell for 20 years.
For 20 years, yep.
And so there have been a lot of things that we have done over the past few years, and I'm just so grateful that you're here today, that you can share a little bit more about you, who you are, and why Leadership Jones, because that has just been an incredible program here at the filling station. We've had so many people that have invested in this, and we want to hear from you.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. I am delighted to be here. And yes, our conversation started with John Maxwell because both of us love John Maxwell. He's truly a leadership guru. But Leadership Jones to me is very, very special because it is who I am. I come from the great state of Jones County, from the town of Pollocksville and Maysville, depending on how you look at it. About a mile from Maysville, where we grew up, used to be Route 1, Box 86.
I was Route 1, Box 26.
Wow.
I remember the Route 1.
Yes, yeah. And so we was actually closer to Maysville, the services and all those different things. But oftentimes people ask me who am I, this, that, and the other, and you can go into a whole bunch of things, but I decided to round it out. I'm really I would say a community development expert that come through a lot of roads to get where I am. I'm a grassroots leader, and I'm a social entrepreneur, and that covers it all. Yes, mm-hmm. and it certainly includes a servant leader as well, not because I say so, but because my heart does.
Yeah, and you and your husband, I think you all pastor a church.
Yes.
Currently.
Yes. We're down in the great town of Newport. Mm-hmm. Great town of Newport. Mount Pilgrim Missionary Baptist Church.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
Mm-hmm. And I grew up at Missionary Baptist Church down in Stella, North Carolina. And then the AME Zion Church in Belgrade, North Carolina. So, like I said, all those things led to where we are now.
Wonderful.
Yep.
So Leadership Jones. Okay, so we knew when we created this life-size rack card that is behind us right now.
Yes.
We created this in 21, and we put leadership on there. Now, that was before we ever had a leadership class.
Yep.
But they say in Habakkuk, the word says in Habakkuk 2:2, you write it upon tablets, write your vision upon the tablets, right? And you must wait for it.
For it shall surely come.
So
it will not lie.
We have waited. We have waited. And then all of a sudden,
All of a sudden.
we started attracting people like Chick-fil-A. They were our first investor
Mm-hmm.
that said, we believe in what you're doing. We wrote that first grant.
The first one, yes. Mm-hmm.
And traveled to Atlanta,
yes.
Georgia. You want
Yes.
to tell everybody about that trip?
Oh, it was amazing. One thing I tell people about it is Chick-fil-A is who they say they are.
Yes.
And that's the one thing that I learned. They put their heart and soul into everything they do. Just amazed at the way that they bring an item to menu, how they research it and make sure that it fits the Chick-fil-A brand. And to me, that says what leadership Jones is, a brand. A brand that has been created and has been, I won't say perfected because we only perfect it when we get to the other place.
Absolutely.
But it certainly has been done excellent.
Mhm.
And Chick-fil-A models that to me, and that's what their corporate headquarters look like to me. Just an amazing place that cares. That cares.
I was so grateful that they actually had Founders Day when we went, so that
Yes.
we got to meet the family and see the grandchildren, the great
Mhm.
grandchildren,
Yes.
and then the special dinner for Dan, Kathy, and
yes.
and he was actually sharing with us how we could pray for he and his family and what they were
Yes.
doing, and it was just such a. So you're right. I mean,
Yeah.
what a special time, and for them, who knew that when you were purchasing Chick-fil-A
Me.
sandwiches that it would come back to fund
Mm-hmm.
Leadership Jones?
Yes. Yes. Right. In your own community. And one of the other highlights of it was, you remember they took us to their first restaurant. And so
Yeah.
Leadership Jones was beginning first. And I correlated the two with the restaurant and how the people there was just I mean, they were glad to be there,
Mm-hmm.
and what they have done since then. So it kind of lets you know where you can go.
Right.
Yeah, that's what it lets you know.
So we kicked off the program the first year with Chick-fil-A,
Mm-hmm.
and then State Employees Credit Union said, I think we would like a seat at the table. And so this
Yes.
mission development grant
Mm-hmm.
became available, and we applied, and allowed us to continue the journey.
Yes.
And wow, what a great organization, State Employees Credit Union. Now I know you have a love for local government, so I want to give you an opportunity to talk about local government.
I do. I do have a love for local government, and really, that's one of the reasons that I love Leadership Jones, because that's one of the missions of it, is to teach people, and not so much teach them, but have them get an understanding really of what local government really is.
Yeah.
And before, because it's easy to criticize. It really is. A third grader can do that. But when you really learn what makes local government tick, why, you can't just go out and put up a sign. It's a safety issue. Why, you need to come to meetings, why you need to know, who's in charge, because if you call the mayor, all the mayor is going to do is call that department head. But if you know who that department head is and you have a relationship with them, then, it not that you're taking the mayor out the picture, but you get your answer much, much quicker. And so, having state employees credit union do, sponsor too, was it brought a large smile to my face, a
Yes.
large smile, because I do, and like I said, that's one of the reasons that the Grassroots Leadership Academy was formed from the very beginning in New Bern. That was one of the reasons.
And we traveled to their conference,
Yeah,
their
we
mission
did.
development conference
We
in
did.
Raleigh, and saw a lot of our friends that were
Yes.
there, other recipients
Yes.
of this grant. Tried by Fire
Yes.
was a recipient. And, making these connections really strengthens us as we do this work. And of course, we saw Bert Armstrong,
Yes.
Armstrong McGuire,
Yes.
and they have been a critical partner as we all have worked
Yes.
together, and learned how to be organized and
That's a good word.
right? Learn how to organize and be strategic, and
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's been a real fun journey.
Yes. We met this the gentleman there, Dave from Angel Oak Creative, and they just do work for nonprofits. So I've kept up with them. And you know the thing about that, all the connections that you make, you can use them in other areas. Like I say, you are surprised. Like in the class, you know what the first class was. I think we had about 11 students. Some of them knew one another, some of them didn't. But in Leadership Jones, you get to learn those things about them that you don't know, because you know we do what we call you know, the buddy system. So you know you get a buddy for the class, and
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing how they get to know one another and the connections they make, and how those connections continue on even after they um, graduate.
Mm-hmm.
And so connection and leadership, and a lot of times people don't put connection and leadership together, but it
Yeah.
is.
Very closely related. They're
They're
not
like,
twins, but they're very closely
yeah,
related.
yeah, they're like first cousins.
And then, of course, you've got, Life Plus Foundation, who
Mm-hmm.
has jumped on board. Duke Energy said,
Yes,
yes, we want to sow seed into this
yes,
Leadership Jones. And then behind the scenes are all the church partners
yes,
that this organization wouldn't even exist without
mm-hmm.
the church partners
Yes,
that are sowing the seed and making sure
mm-hmm.
that these programs are available. So I want everybody to know really what transpires in a Leadership Jones class when you're, we've had 5 cohorts.
Yes,
So,
yes.
is how long is the class? What happens? What coursework?
Mm. Oh, wow. You know, again, like you said, there's been 5 cohorts, and all the cohorts have been totally different. And when you assign, one of the first things we do is we assign each person a buddy, and I choose because. As human beings, we like to choose who we're comfortable with, but I don't choose that way. And so I tried to look deep down in the soul and see who goes together. So that's one of the things we do. And they do work together during the whole class. And then we start with our guidelines. Our guidelines set the atmosphere for the whole day. And I want to tell you that I got an opportunity to present the guidelines to over 30 countries a couple of days ago.
Wow. Where was this?
We had a virtual summit,
Mm-hmm.
over 30 countries, and everybody talks about how inclusive it was, how nice it was, the
Uh-huh.
colors draw in
Yeah.
people, and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
so I want to tell you that
What a blessing.
Leadership Jones has gone international.
International. Well, if you read our vision statement, the vision statement that was written back in 21 that the board approved, it says that we're a premier connector of people and resources serving the residents of Jones County and the world.
And the world.
Now, the very first time that we brought that up at a half-day training with our board of directors, our board advisor, Carol Maddox, was there. And she asked the question, now, are we sure we want to leave the world in there? And John Taylor, who's been on
Yeah.
the board for 7 years, recently rotated off. He said, oh, but Carol, the ripple effect from the filling station will go far and wide. And she said, oh, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. Well,
So,
it did.
Clearly, it has.
It has. But there are 6 to 8 week sessions. We do conflict resolution. We do defining moments, and a lot of people. And we do why grassroots. What is the difference between grassroots leadership and a lot of other leadership? And I look at grassroots as a blade of grass coming up, because oftentimes people, when you come up through the grassroots, it's easy to go pick a leader out of a crowd. You're looking at the way they dress, and you're looking at where they come from. You know, you're looking at all those things. But the grassroots leader grows up like the grass, just popping up, out the ground. And then you cut the grass. But when you cut the grass still pops up because and it gets stronger each time. And to me, that's what each session does. It gets stronger. And we usually 8:30 to 2. And we are thankful to our sponsor because we always have a great lunch.
Always. Always.
Always a great lunch. And we end the day with quotes because quotes inspire you. Not only do they inspire you, a lot of people say you can't motivate people, but quotes do motivate you in the sense that it pushes you for a day, maybe a week, or whatever. And so we end with that, and the sessions are interactive and participatory. One of my favorite things has become the projects that had truly been amazing.
Every time I go to a graduation, I think that's my favorite. And then the next one's my favorite.
Yes.
And I thought, well, they're all our favorite.
Yes. And we are so thankful to Kyle Smith, the county manager, and Shamada Brown, and certainly Mayor J. Bender, where we get to go to Politics. He give us a history lesson.
Yes.
But we are so thankful for their support.
Yes.
Because we could not do that without them. And we've had, county employees, other persons from nonprofits, and so all of them coming together. Really, it's the community coming together at the table. That's what it is. It's community coming together at the table. And one of the other things we do is we visit each town. And that's always an eye-opening experience for the cohort. It's always an eye-opening experience. This last cohort, we went to the town of Trenton because most people don't think about Trenton as its own town.
Right.
They think about Jones County. So they thought, the county manager, all of that. But there's Mayor Darlene Spivey there.
That's right.
For the town of Trenton. And so we do that, and we try to eat lunch and everything there. And we also try to move the graduation around too. And one of the reasons too is if you love something, then you want it to be sustainable.
Right.
And so you got to be a leaders for sustainability.
Right.
Yep. And you got to keep you got to keep going. And so it's not saying that grassroots leadership Jones has the whole thing, but for some it's the beginning, for some it's building skills, for some it's enhancing skills. But it is here in Jones County. And a lot of people have to travel
for this type of training.
Yeah. Yes. And we, Todd Brantley with Armstrong McGuire, he told them usually what happens when you go do this type of training, how much it costs and where you have to travel to, and all of those things. But one of the graduates, she always puts it, she says, I never saw Jones County in that way. She said, I just did what I did and came home. I didn't even know all the resources that we had here. She said, but I would never look at this place the same again. And it reminds me of the scripture, seek the welfare of the place that you were sent to, because if it does well, so will you.
Right. The comment I hear around the table is, I had no idea. And so when they're sharing, the cohorts are sharing with each other from different perspectives and different places, just like you said, I had no idea that existed here in our county. Who knew? Yeah. And I find sometimes that we get so fixated on creating something and we forget to look to the left and the right to find out if it's already been created. We just need to jump on board with them.
With them, yes.
And so hence the reason that we're having this studio come alive. We didn't have this in Jones County. So we decided, well, we'll fill the gap.
Yeah.
Hence the reason, the filling station is here. We want to fill the gaps for those things that might be missing within in the community. Speaking of Todd Brantley, I know that he's been here as part of this leadership Jones training,
Mm-hmm.
and I've asked him to come and be on the podcast. He's a little reluctant. So Todd, if you're watching this, you will be on the podcast.
We, we'll come get you.
We'll come get you in Goldsboro. But we want you to hear from him. I know you've read about Todd in Our State Magazine. He's such a great guy and has
Yeah.
offered so much to so many. But there's also someone else that comes in from North Carolina A&T
Mm-hmm.
for training
Yes.
that supports you.
Yes. Dr. Michelle Ely, she's with Cooperative Extension, North Carolina A&T, and also NC State. And we've been, some people might call us road dogs. We've been doing grassroots leadership around the state, even in South Carolina for 3-4 months in the summertime, driving every other weekend. But yeah, she's been a great support. They have supported us. They started with us in New Bern when we did it in New Bern for our HUD grant, and she has continued, and she's a community development specialist there at A&T. We're a cooperative extension and offers a wealth of knowledge. I love the 2 skits that she does. The one with the co-facilitation and the shared leadership style. And once we had her, and we usually do where they have around round chairs, a round table, some people would call it, and you have to come into the circle. And it's amazing how people are reluctant sometimes to come inside the circle,
Yeah.
but she has a way
Mm-hmm.
to bring them in
Mm-hmm.
the circle. She has a way to do that. And that other exercise she does where you can say absolutely nothing.
Mhm.
You have to get it done without saying nothing, because she lets us know that you can lead without saying a whole lot of unnecessary words, because words do matter.
So the training has been incredible, absolutely incredible. The books
Yes.
that are incorporated, the curriculum from the Community Voices curriculum to the John Maxwell books. I mean, when you walk out as a graduate of this course, you are set.
Yes, you are.
You are
Yes.
set. Now, as the executive director here at the filling station, I have wanted to soak up every cohort. So I've been a part of all
Oh,
5 of them.
Yes.
And to be able to just see all the different personalities and walks of life and how people are interacting, and then when they graduate, how they're actually using their gifts and their
Yes.
talents, and how they are moving forward and just growing in ways that they are honoring the leadership Jones
Mhm.
for that they have
Yes.
the confidence to move forward, or the conversation that they wish they had the words to say, but now that they do.
Now that they do. Yeah.
So when we started this, and we're going into our 3rd year, when we started this, the goal was 30 graduates by August 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I look at my calendar just right, and I'm looking at my time in the calendar, that's only 3 months out.
Yes.
And I believe that the number of graduates is
43.
43. So we have way exceeded the goal.
Yes.
So that tells us there's a need.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
There's a need. And people wonder why Eastern North Carolina is becoming such the fastest growing, most wonderful place to live.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I would have to say that it has a lot to do with the leadership of Tharesa Lee, Leadership Jones here at the filling station. So as we're recapping and wrapping up today, I know you have lots of words to say, because I have heard sermons, I have heard talks, I have you have been a great friend and a great mentor to me. I have incorporated so much of what you have so graciously shared, so that I can do what I'm doing here at the filling station. And I appreciate you so, so much. But do you have any last parting words with our audience today that you'd like to share about this program?
Um, yeah, one of my favorite ones is a place at the table. And a place at the table, we often look at it as a hard surface like we're sitting at. But when you walk in a room, you walk into a table. We're always seated at a table. And I believe that everybody has a right to be to that um, table. You know, Shirley Chisholm says, bring a folding chair. If nobody lets you in, just bring a folding chair. But the table represents the community.
Yeah.
And in order to make a better community, a stronger community, as Leadership Jones said, a stronger Jones County, then we all need to be at the table. Not at the same time and not with the same message, but a message of community. And so that's what I would say. Nelson Mandela said, all tasks seem impossible until they're done. And a lot of people think you cannot be seated at the table. But I say you can be seated at the table in Jones County. You can.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Leadership Jones is promoting. That, come on, let's sit at the table together and let's work this out. Let's make our community better. And when you make Jones County better, you make Eastern North Carolina better. And when you make Eastern North Carolina better, you make the great state of North Carolina better as well. We're the 10th fastest growing state, and we will continue to grow. Expected to be 14 million people by 2030.
Yeah. And we can't do it without strong leaders.
Without strong leadership.
And passing the baton very strategically. And so, that's what we're doing here is just making sure that the baton is being passed to empowered, equipped, educated, and individuals who love their community.
Yes.
Thank you to our great friend, Tharesa Lee.
Thank you.
We appreciate you so, so much being here with us today. And we look forward to kicking off cohort 6 in the fall. It will be after Labor Day. And so we are excited about sharing that with you. If you're interested, please visit our website, fillingstation1075.com, for more information, or simply give us a phone call at 224-1127. Also, if you'll check out Tharesa Lee, follow her on Facebook. She is worth following. She has a wonderful thread of wonderful conversation and seeds for your life, so check her out. And thank you again for being with us here in the podcast room, here at the filling station. Have a great day.